In this video, I've got two objectives for us today. So by the end of the video, you should be able to tell me what molecules or compounds are, and you should be able to tell me how energy is stored in chemical bonds, okay? So those are the two things, okay? So first things first. So far, we've learned about matter and its classification. Now we're going to look at how these forms of matter are combined or can be combined. And this is going to take one or two Edpuzzle videos, all right? So first things first, what do I mean when I say we've learned about matter and its classification? We've learned about atoms, which makes up all things, is matter. We've learned about elements, which are different types of atoms. So we've learned to classify atoms as hydrogen, oxygen, helium, lithium, whatever it may be, carbon, nitrogen, etc. And so we've learned about it. Now I want us to talk about combining those atoms, okay? So atoms. Atoms bond to other atoms. What that means is if we have two atoms, certain atoms can actually combine with each other, sort of click together and form what are called molecules and compounds. I'm going to use this word molecules more than I'm going to use the word compounds, but for now you can think of them as meaning the same thing. It just talks about when we have more than one atom that is bonded to another atom, okay, or more than one atom bonded. All right, so it could be 2 atoms, 3 atoms, 400 atoms. They all come together to form these things called molecules. And you actually know molecules. Yeah, H2O is a molecule. CO2 is a molecule. Water, carbon dioxide, they're molecules. It's when you take one atom and another atom and you put them together and form an H2O. You take 3 different atoms and you link them together to form H2O. We'll talk more about H2O in a moment. But molecules are what we call more than one atom bonded together. And it's important we use that word bonded because when atoms bond to other atoms, they can store energy in the bond. So this is talking about the second objective. When atoms connect together, they actually store energy in that bond, okay? So it's kind of like an elastic band. If an elastic band is the bond, and we have a whole lot of papers that represent the atoms, and we take that elastic band and we put it over the papers, that elastic band stretches out and it holds the papers together, but it's storing energy up. And if something happens to break that elastic, all the papers fly apart, or all the atoms fly apart in this metaphor, and the elastic band shoots off with force. So let me show you this. This is a bungee cord, okay? A bungee cord is just a whole lot of elastics put together, and it stretches. Now let's say it's holding my 2 hands together, and something causes my one hand to fly off into the distance. That other energy is going to shoot off and hit something, okay? So you see the elastic band? It's holding 2 hands together, and when it breaks, the energy shoots out, okay? So that's what happens with chemical bonds. The chemical bonds store energy. So 2 atoms come together, and when they click together, their energy is stored inside of that bond. And if we can break that bond, we can release a little bit of energy. And if we can break a whole lot of bonds, we can get a lot of energy out of it. And we do this, okay? So energy between atoms is called chemical energy, and we rely on chemical energy for life, okay? So if you guys have ever been at a braai, you have been using chemical energy to cook your food, because what happens is wood, as it's growing, as the tree's growing, it's putting together all these molecules, taking all these atoms and it's putting it together to build itself, to build the wood. What we do is when we burn the wood, we basically give a little bit of energy to that wood, and the molecules start breaking apart. And when they start breaking apart, they release this energy in the form of heat and fire, and we cook our meat on that. Or if you're a vegetarian, your mushrooms, okay? Now, when we digest food, what's happening is we're taking food made of all these complicated molecules, all these atoms, stacked on top of each other, and our body breaks them apart, and absorbs that energy and uses the energy from the food to keep us alive, to help us breathe, to help our hearts beat, to help us run, whatever it may be, okay? So we use chemical energy regularly. And finally, during explosion, if you've ever seen something blow up, it's because there's a whole lot of molecules inside that substance that are linked together, and they're storing a lot of energy. And you give it enough to get going, a little spark to start, and what happens is that energy is released very quickly. And as it releases, boom, that's what an explosion is. All right, so boys, you should be able to first tell me what molecules and compounds are. Secondly, you should be able to show me examples of when we use chemical energy, and you should be able to tell me how chemical energy is stored, that is in those bonds, okay, boys? So yeah, what are molecules, chemical energy, how do we use it? That's it. Have a fantastic day. Remember, message me if you have any problems. Cheers, boys.